Hello there, hello there, hello there, YouTubes and Twitchy pubes. How the devil are we all? I am sensationally well, I thank you for asking. Apologies, firstly, that this is 2 hours later than usual, because of course it is 9 PM here in the UK, which means it's 4 PM on the east coast of Americana land, which means it's fucking 8 AM in Fiji. Hello there to the people of Fiji, waking up bright and early on this. They're a day ahead, aren't they? So that's Tuesday morning, which it's not even the right day. Like, there are some time zones who are at least trying. Central Europe, it's only an hour off, you know? Whereas Australia, different day. Ridiculous. Anyway, how are we all? Apologies, yes, that I'm 2 hours late. I had some family stuff, so I didn't know exactly what time I'd be back. So, I've got, hang on, what's it? Oh, sorry. Yeah, I had some family stuff, so I didn't know what time I'd be back at. So I could have probably started at 8. I was back, just after 7. But turns out I'd already booked it in at 9, so I thought, fuck it, I'll do it at 9. Who gives a shit? Anyway, how is my voice doing? Is it coming through okay? Is it okay? Because it was going a bit weird and deep last time, wasn't it? It was all a little bit strange, a little bit deep voice head. Well, not a little bit. I sounded like fucking Darth Vader after smoking 40 a day. Can Darth Vader even smoke? I don't know how that would work. You sound like a lady. I'd thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, so we're going to be taking a look at Cancel Con. Which is, for those who don't know, I will explain a little bit later, but just know this. It features the epic minds of Dave Rubin, who is a god creature. I won't have a bad word said about the man. He's an intellectual titan of the modern age. Dennis Prager, ditto, of course, and a man whose penis definitely works. So, that's fine. Adam Carolla, who is apparently a stand-up comedian, more on that later. And Ben Shapiro, who again is one of the foremost intellects of our age, who definitely doesn't just speak loudly or speak in a high-pitched voice very quickly, but is entirely made of fallacious argumentation. No, he's a very, very clever, special boy. Anyway, that to come up, that to look forward to. But I thought, as we kind of do a bit of news and stuff on this show as well, I thought a few opening remarks about the passing of the notorious RGB. That being RBG even, Jesus. Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who, for those who don't know, was the now former member of the US Federal Supreme Court, so the highest court in America. Now, I am just going to put it out there at the start. There are issues with her record over the years. I'm not going to deny that for a second. I'm not going to claim that she was some sort of fucking saint. She was, after all, a Supreme Court judge. She was one of the highest judges in a land ruled by white supremacy and capitalism. She was never going to be perfect. Let's not pretend otherwise. But in terms of Supreme Court judges, she's probably the best we will see in our lifetimes. Almost certainly. Unless, well, if we live particularly long, we might get to see an actual, progressive in the White House. Then you might get a difference. But then they've still got to get past the Senate, so who fucking knows? Who knows if there'll ever be enough senators from, Nebraska who aren't garbage or something. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But either way, she certainly had a far more progressive record than virtually any of her contemporaries in US history, basically. And her passing is bad because Donald Trump almost certainly will get to name a piece of garbage in her place. So that's fun. Yeah, I think we've almost certainly seen the high watermark in terms of civil rights in America within our lifetime, which is grim. Very, very grim. But a couple of points stemming from that, and I suppose we should say rest in power, which is a thing that people say now instead of rest in peace, and I quite like that. So rest in power to the woman herself. Condolences to her family on this occasion. Not nice, but 87, not a bad knock. Not a bad knock at all. She was born the year Adolf Hitler took power. She is old, or was old as balls, okay? She didn't do badly at all. And she'd fought off cancer and shit, like she'd been pretty badass with that. Anyway, so yeah, you can take solace in the fact that she lived a long and very productive life. And achieved a fuck ton, like she made it to the highest place you could in her profession. So that's pretty badass. Anyway. Yes, a couple of notes though, right? Firstly, to move away from the actual death itself onto the inevitable what happens now thing. Of course, the Republicans in America are playing politics with this. They refuse to have Obama allow to get his pick through, even though that happened in the March of the year where there was the election happening in November. Citing, oh well, it's an election year, you can't have that, even though that had never been a stipulation before. But whatever. Yeah, so that's, ridiculous. But having put that rule in place now, or at least that, it's not officially like a law or anything, but having established that precedent, they're now going back on that and saying, oh, it doesn't matter, it's an election year, and it's like, 2 months away or whatever? No, well, less than that, a month and a half, even, away. We're going to just have the thing and do it now. Anyone who's surprised by that is, of course, ludicrous. Of course they were going to do that. Did you think Lindsey Graham had a backbone or any semblance of principle to the man? Of course he fucking doesn't. Of course he doesn't. So that's rather silly on anyone else's part who genuinely thought they were going to follow through with rules they themselves had established. No, don't be silly. They're all playing politics. And that's the lesson we need to learn. As much as it's not nice to think of things in this way, for practicalities reasons we have to, okay? The right have chosen consistently all around the world, whether it be Trump in America, Boris Johnson in Britain, Bolsonaro in Brazil, wherever, all the rise of these fucking nationalist, populist scum proliferating around the world. They have marked themselves out as not following the rules. They have no intention of following any precedent or any rule that they don't like, even though they claim to be for tradition. It's interesting, I know. It's almost like, again, they have no principle whatsoever. They're not interested in upholding any rules, even if they themselves put those rules in place. So we need to stop giving them civility that they don't pay back. Okay? Civility and playing fair and playing by the rules and all the rest of it only works if it's reciprocal. They have set themselves to not following those rules. They have set themselves against any semblance of fairness and a level playing field. So, unfortunately, we don't have the option of they go low, we go high, because that just means we fucking lose. And I'm sick of it. We can't carry on down this path of feeling high and mighty because we follow the rules and they get to impose all the fucking rules. It's ludicrous. We need to learn from that and get better. Okay? More ruthless. Which is ironic because we're now without Ruth. But anyway, that's by the by. We need to become far more ruthless in terms of our approach to saying fuck you to these pricks and doing what we want to do. Anyway, on that note, I think a positive to hopefully come out of this is that don't let it make you cynical, okay? Even if they put up, it looks like it's going to be a woman now, but apparently Ted Cruz was, according to when Trump, before RBG died, Trump had a list of his potential Supreme Court nominees, thinking, of course, that that would happen after an election, assuming he'd won or whatever. And one of the names was Ted Cruz, which is really rather pathetic. Jesus Christ, he called your wife ugly, said your dad killed JFK, and you're happy to be like, yeah, I'll take your job, Donald. Oh, please, I want to be on the Supreme Court. You spineless cunt. Anyway, don't let the fact that Trump is probably going to like name this person, and as much as the Republicans, there are a few of them that come out and be like, I'm not sure we should do this. Yeah, given the opportunity, they almost certainly will. Anyone who's still, after all these years, waiting for Susan Collins to do the right thing, I mean, stop being a fucking idiot. Of course she's not going to. Anyway, is someone asked, is Ted Zodiac a judge? I'm not sure he was a judge, but he was certainly in the legal profession. He was, I believe, was the Attorney General for Texas before becoming a senator. So he's got like legal training, whatever. Yeah. So I think he would qualify or whatever. But even so, it's Ted Cruz, fucking hell. Who, by the way, does make an appearance at CancelCon. Kind of. Anyway. Which we'll get to in a second. So yeah, bad shit's going to go down, right? Before November, and bad shit might go down in November. Who knows? Don't let it make you cynical and jaded, though. Don't let it become despondent, or at least not for too long. I can understand some people being annoyed by it, maybe even being it being, I hate to use this phrase, but it's actually, in terms of internet parlance, it works. Don't let it black pill you. Don't let it make you feel depressed or nihilistic about the situation. Because humanity doesn't work like that. Humanity has gone to lower depths than we currently are, and bounced back. So don't let this moment fuck you up too much, okay? Learn from it. Make it harden your heart to failure. Make it harden your heart to allowing the right wing to do what they want to do, or to play by their fucking rules or whatever, okay? Because we need to start winning in order to try and save the planet and humanity and all of the animals on the planet, which includes humanity. So let it radicalize you, let it light a fire within you that you can use the energy from to fight for a fucking victory. Good Lord. The left needs a victory right now. I talked about this in the rant I did. I did an unscripted, unplanned rant on Saturday, which I know I don't usually do because I usually do Mondays to Fridays. But I did a Saturday one because it annoyed me. Anyone on the left basically saying that Tucker Carlson is anything other than shit is an idiot, is the basic gist. Anyway, and I mentioned this in there, that the left needs a victory right now, just for its own self-esteem, if nothing else. The left needs consistently now to stop killing itself, in essence. It's killing itself by 1,000 cuts. It needs to improve on that, okay? It needs to become a lot better than that, and we need to start fucking winning. I'm sick of playing by the rules and doing civility politics and losing. That isn't acceptable anymore. I mean, it never really was, but what's gone is gone. All we can focus on is the future. Anyway, someone in the Twitch chat asks, what does this mean, CEO of the Antifa Super Soldiers Inc.? Do you want us? I'll answer that seriously just for a second. It's a joke based on the idea that the right wing think that Antifa are like an actual proper organisation, which they aren't, and that they have a hierarchical structure, which they don't. And so I just thought, oh fuck it, well I'm the CEO then. It's a running joke. Anyway. But the unserious answer is I'm the CEO of Antifa. I deal with the corporate strategy and corporate synergy of our efforts to integrate systems of Antifa-ness. I'm not good at management speak because I'm not really a manager. Anyway, enough of that bollocks. Right, so let us move on to the topic we're actually going to be talking about today. Why is my thing not showing up? What is going on there? That's gone desperately wrong. No, window capture 2 is not that window. That's so annoying. Sorry, everyone. 1 second. Google Chrome. What? That one. Yes. Okay. Boom. There we go. The chat is on the screen. I'm on the screen. We can begin. Right. So, hang on. I'll shrink that down so it's properly on the screen. There we are. I could have sorted this before we started, but where's the fun in that? No. Actually, the chat isn't technically on the screen at the moment, is it? There we go. There we go. No one's squidged in anymore. It's all good. Right. Hello, everyone. I'm on the screen now. That was me doing a silly voice to mimic the deep voice thing. Anyway. Cancel con. Apologies to everyone in advance, okay? What you are about to see is dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Right, absolutely awful. The conversation between the four gentlemen I mentioned earlier, those being Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro, Adam Carolla, and Dennis Prager. It's wow. The conversation is drier than Ben Shapiro's wife's pussy, and lower energy than Dennis Prager's fucking dusty old dick game. It's atrocious. It really is. I thought that Cancel Con, because it's called Cancel Con, so I thought it would be, a con, as in a convention. It isn't. It's four dickheads sat in Adam Carolla's garage. Literally, he's got cars around him as a kind of weird flex thing. And they just talk about some stuff. It's not really a convention in any sense whatsoever. But whatever. That's not even the biggest lie told, so who cares? But it starts, right, so it's called CancelCon. And the thing you see on the screen there, No Safe Spaces, is the name of the film that this is basically there to promote, right? Which I haven't seen yet because I don't think it's out yet. Doesn't really matter. Anyway, they put the live stream out on live, as you can tell, because it says they're streamed on the blah blah blah. And it like a 10-minute intro with no sound, and then it kicks in with an animation. Yes, dear viewer, there is an animation, and it's so mental it made my arse prolapse. Okay, my anus is now inside out. That's how amazing it is, and I can only apologise to the Americans as well, because I hope you've got medical insurance, because the thing I'm about to show you will give you cancer. Okay, everyone that watches this animation that starts the whole thing off will get cancer. It's amazing. It's the cringiest thing you will ever see. Of that, I can fucking promise you. This whole thing is rather summed up in terms of its general approach by the animation I'm about to show you. And it's basically, imagine if your politics had been formed in 2014, based around like skeptic videos from the likes of Sargon, etc. And your politics had not changed at all since then, regardless of the huge amount of like social upheaval and political upheaval that's happened in the world since those days. And you would produce this thing, this amazing thing. I don't even know how to describe it, so I won't try to describe it. I'll just show you this amazing, amazing thing. Oh, and by the way, I should probably point out, the reason that this was a complete flop as well, by the way, Rob. This video has 80,000, so 80,000 people watch this. Which you think, well, okay, that's not that brilliant, but it's not that bad. But it is bad when you consider they've got 320,000 subscribers to this obviously astroturfed right-wing piece of shit. And the fact that Vosh did a sort of brief watching of this as well. I don't know when that happened, whatever. And that has more views. Even though he's one man. And these people have like a huge, between them, millions of subscribers and a huge international media platforms stuff. And the fact that most of these views are hate views because it was brigaded by the gripers. As you can see, it says like Nick Fuentes, America First, where have we got Nick Fuentes, all this shit. Right, the gripers are far-right pieces of shit, right, who don't particularly like Jewish people. I know, I was shocked too to find the far right don't like Jewish people. They're followers of a guy called Nicholas Fuentes, who is the most Hispanically named white nationalist in the history of mankind. it's rather interesting, isn't it? Imagine the ethno-state being led by Fuentes. Anyway, he doesn't like Ben Shapiro specifically because of his too soft a form of conservatism or whatever, and the fact that he's Jewish. So he constantly brigades Ben Shapiro events. He and the Groypers do this, and I'll between because don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch the full 2 hours of this. It's 2 fucking hours long. I've got timestamps and stuff. We'll look at the choicest cuts of bullshit, okay? And periodically I'll show you in the live chat replay. Nicholas Fuentes' Groyper army of dipshits and their obsessive compulsive need to fucking troll Ben Shapiro, and of course the fact that 3 of the 4 gentlemen who were involved in this live stream are Jewish. So again, that they get triple the amount of anti-Semitism for their buck, so to speak. So and they're awful. But the point I would make to them is you wouldn't necessarily draw the fire of anti-Semites in the way you do if you weren't feeding a little bit into that narrative with the globalists and George Soros, etc. You're bringing it on yourself, you dipshits. Come over to the left. We don't hate Jews. But anyway, never mind. But that's identity politics, which is ironic considering they constantly play identity politics in this stream. Not just about being Jewish, but about Dave Rubin being gay and so on and so forth. So, I would advise you to get a strong drink of some nature and possibly to pre-curl your toes, because if not, you might actually lose them to gangrene. This will give you cancer and gangrene. 3, 2, 1. Let's fucking rock it.
Victimizers beware. The racist and bigots' greatest nightmare. Social justice warriors. It's the virus response team. If you've been offended, your feelings must be defended. The freedom of expression is a microaggression. Here comes Antifa.
Antifa Freddy. This is amazing. Oh, I'm crying again. I've already seen this and I'm crying. Antifa Freddy. It's too beautiful, isn't it? It's too beautiful. Imagine putting human beings got together and created this thing.
Freddy, he's always ready to fight fascism with fascism.
See, the anti-fascists are the real fascists.
Starbucks windows don't stand a chance. Ethnic enhancer, he's a systematic racism finder. Using the powers of screaming shame, they win every debate by calling your names. They're heroes who think that they're victims. Social justice warriors.
Social justice warriors. Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, good lord. Oh. It's wow. Adult people, adult human beings put that together. Where do you even begin? I mean, it's the purest cringe. They've distilled the concept of cringe into its very essence, and put it into that cartoon. It always reminds me of that fantastic bullshit quote from PJW called, which is like the right are getting better at comedy and the left are scared. Yeah, I'm terrified. Really, I am. You've absolutely got us. Was it? Can I give you a video suggestion? You can always give me a video suggestion. Absolutely. I mean, I might tell you to fuck off, but you can always give me a suggestion, yeah. Yeah. Well, of course they put money into it because they're astroturfed dickheads. They're all being funded by, like, Koch brother money and stuff, you know. Anyway. Let's, I mean, as you can see, their Statue of Liberty, duct tape over the mouth, because that's a thing. Even though it was actually George W. Bush, who these neocon pricks love, who actually closed that down. You can't actually go up the stairs to the top. There's a viewing balcony bit at the top, which you used to be able to do, but you can't do that anymore because George W. Bush shut that down. So he literally gagged people's ability to go on that. But anyway, let's continue. Hang on, why is the... Sorry, see, I'm just going to reload the page. The chat... Shut up. Why has the chat disappeared? Oh no, there we go. Sorry, my bad. Look at the production values here. The amount of money these fuckers have poured into this, firstly for 80,000 views, is embarrassing. But secondly, the idea that these fuckers have been cancelled and that's had any realistic impact on them, nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Epic.
All right, people of the internet. This is CancelCon. I'm Dave Rubin, alongside Dennis Prager, Adam Carolla, and Ben Shapiro. You might have heard of these people, possibly, maybe. What we're doing today is a live stream.
Look at this backdrop. This is Adam Carolla's garage with his cars and stuff. Now, firstly, that's weird flex, bro. You don't need to do that. And secondly, how tiny do you reckon his cock is? It might be an innie. To be honest, I don't know.
To talk about the No Safe Spaces movie, but more broadly, to talk about the thing that we're kind of all talking about all the time, and I don't mean just the four of us. I mean
No, it is just the four of you.
Everybody, really, in the United States and all over the world. This crushing attack on free speech that you guys see, not only in the college campus situation, but all over, in the corporate world, in academia, now in our political world, in the cultural sphere, everywhere. Everyone seems to be afraid to say what they think. And
this basically whole thing is an astroturfed way of trying to promote a movie called No Safe Spaces, which the subtitle to which is "You Have the Rights to Remain Silent." Okay. And by the way, just because it's on a particularly good point, groiper. There we go. So basically, all of the views on this video are hate views. So yeah, they put on this event themselves. They weren't cancelled by other people. They cancelled themselves, in essence. I mean, look at them. Jesus. Actually, I'll up the thingy to the full 720p. There we go. Let's get a proper view. Look at the size of this cunt's yarmulke. Jesus Christ. It's a point I've constantly raised with him. He does the virtue signalling of, look how massive my Jew hat is. I'm a Jew. That's his whole shtick. Fucking hell.
I found, I think, the last three guys.
Like, Dave Rubin isn't wearing a yarmulke. Dennis Prager isn't wearing a yarmulke. You don't need to. That doesn't make you top Jew. I don't think that's how it works, mate. Come on now. Fucking hell, man. It's just again, the virtue signalling of it. It annoys me from people who attack virtue signalling.
Guys who aren't afraid to say what they think. Gentlemen, say something controversial right up top. Dennis, what's the most controversial thing that one can say these days?
The most controversial thing? I'll tell you, America is a great country.
Well done. That's so brave. That's so brave. It's not like every political party and every member of those political parties say exactly that same shit. Like, this is where you can tell that this opening sequence, which I'll take you through as we go. It's basically no shaft left behind. They jerk each other off constantly throughout the whole thing. Okay. Dennis Prager says it's brave and controversial to say America is a great country. Every cunt says that, don't they? Everyone. Do you see the number of American flags behind every political candidate? They're constantly jerking the America off. It's embarrassing.
I love America. Those are two of the most controversial things one can say.
What fucking world do they live in? Well, honest to God, what world do they live in?
That's how Lincoln was a great man. In other words, any obvious moral statement regarding the U.S. is controversial.
I mean, you say that, but there are a lot of your fans who don't think Lincoln was so great because of the whole freeing the blacks thing. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, saying Abraham Lincoln was a good man might be controversial if you ask PragerU viewers.
That's how bad things are.
Are you telling me that America was not founded on racism and bigotry and evil?
It's the same shit.
I wonder
for how many years now?
I love looking at you.
Look at me. Look at me for a second, for God's sakes.
So, I always wonder of the many millions of slaves who came from Africa to the Western Hemisphere, right, North and South America. 3% came to the United States. About 340,000 versus, let's say, 12 million to Brazil. Are they undergoing the self-revolution in Brazil? Don't you wonder, why doesn't the left hate Brazil? We got
Kill me. Just actually kill me until I'm dead in Minecraft. Yeah. Does he not know that the left isn't like a fan of Bolsonaro and the Brazilian government right now? Also, Dennis, you stupid bastard, every country has its own like particular and unique set of historical and social circumstances, don't they? Right? Black people are a much more significant part of Brazilian history and culture, and both black and indigenous peoples in South America have been consistently trying to better themselves and to overcome the racism of the past, which, by the way, America has contributed very badly to that, including, of course, just recently overthrowing Evo Morales, a native person who was the president of the elected president of Ecuador, which the United States just helped overthrow. So they've consistently tried to undermine black and indigenous peoples' attempts to better themselves in South America. But you support that, don't you, Dennis? So, interesting.
3% of the Africans who came here, plus in the last 30 years, 3 million Africans, 3 million blacks have come here, 1 million from the Caribbean, 2 million from Africa, because they know how good it is for a black to live here.
For a black to live here. Not even a black person or black people. A black. They know how good it is for a black to live in America. It doesn't get better than this. Also, Dennis, the reason that the economic circumstances are better in America than, say, in the Caribbean or Africa is partly because of America's absolute devastation of the economies of those places. Their imperialist plunder of those places and taking that money back, or those resources back, to the imperialist core. So really, in the same way that, say, a Greek person might visit the British Museum in London to see their stuff, an African might go to America to see their stuff. Just saying.
So you have to live in a world of lies to accept this depiction of America.
Adam, he said that America's good. That was the short version. Can you possibly come up with something more controversial than that? I mean, come on, man.
Well, what no one really wants to hear is you'll either do well here or you won't do well here, and that'll be up to you. The playing field is fairly level.
What fucking world? Again, what world do these pricks live in?
Certainly level enough in almost 2021. And it'll never be completely level. It can't be completely level. People that are short have a slight disadvantage. People who are born to this type of family or missing a father in the home, for instance. But
so there are ingrained problems that could be dealt with. Potentially, is what you're admitting there, defeating your purpose of saying it's virtually a level playing field. Adam, you stupid twat.
This is about as level a society as you can ever have. And
not remotely true. America barely scrapes into the top 30 in terms of upward mobility of its peoples. Even though it's the richest nation the world has ever known, it's phenomenally mismanaged. The greatest resource richness that our species has ever known.
And thus...
And concentrated it into the hands of idiots like you for.
It is up to you. Now, the people hate that story. Well, you know who hates that story? Children. Children hate that story. Like when you go, hey, if you're getting a bad grade, it's not because the teacher hates you, it's because you're not working hard enough. But now we're...
Which is interesting because they make the exact opposite argument later when they say conservatives aren't doing as well in college because the teachers are downgrading them.
Dealing with adult children everywhere you look. And this is all it is. It's basically taking adolescence and dragging it up into adulthood. And sadly, you know, I talk to people in their 70s who feel this way. My parents in their 80s, I think they feel this way. So unfortunately, everyone, if you live in this country and you live here during the present time, the onus is on you. If you're not having success, you got to go find a mirror.
So are you saying...
How pathetic a human being do you have to be as a poor conservative? Because you're literally watching Adam Carolla, a man with no real discernible talent whatsoever, but is phenomenally rich, surrounded by his cars, his obviously very expensive collection of cars and stuff, telling you that you don't work hard enough. That's the reason you're poor. It's because you don't work hard enough. He's telling people who work on construction sites, for instance, that they just aren't working hard enough. If they were, they could have rich cars too. Like, I don't even know where to begin with how pathetic a human being. Like, he's literally telling you, if you're poor, fuck you. And they'll still vote Conservative. Mad.
Just because you want something, you can't necessarily have it. Because right now we are in your garage. You've got some pretty sweet cars around here. I mean, I assume that Dennis and Ben and I each can take a car.
Well, most of them have to go back to the prop house before we wrap tonight. Yes, all these cars are things that I've always wanted. I enjoy them now. I loved cars when I was young. I never had any money, so I could never afford to own a car that was nice. As a matter of fact, I work construction, so I was forced to drive a pickup truck, which is really the opposite of one of these cars. So for me, I thought to myself, well, I like these cars. I'm driving a pickup truck. I got to focus, work harder, get better at what I do, and then one day I can have one of these sports cars.
All right, Shapiro, we got Prager saying America's pretty good. We got Carolla saying that hard work has value. Can you beat either one of those? Come on.
Easily. Are you ready for this? This is so easy. Okay. Men are not women.
So brave. So brave. It's the same talking point you've used for the last fucking God knows how long, Ben. You stupid bastard. I don't even know. Look, how do American conservatives they just want to hear the same talking point regurgitated? Constantly. It's the same fucking point. Time after time after time. And look at the look on this prick's face. Like he's so happy with himself. Fuck you. Fuck all of you. They're amazingly brave statements. America's good. Hard work is good. Men are not women. And also just generally transphobic shit, of course. Like, that's, yeah. Fucking hell. It's the conservative comfort food. Basically, yeah. Yeah, that's precisely what it is. Yeah. And they realise they can be transphobic. That's like a thing they're allowed to get away with right now. Which is, I think, rather telling of how disgusting America is as a society, but never mind. Right, I've got my first timestamp is 19 and 20. And the timestamp literally reads, Dennis Prager says he's a classical liberal.
And so, you know, objective reality doesn't always meet with your approval.
So one other thing before we jump to the sponsors, do you guys think it's odd that we're thought of as controversial? I find it very odd that so many people...
you are cracking me up. Do you know, just today, this is weird to hear your thoughts played back to you. Just today I was thinking, I'd like to write a column. I write a column every week that I'd like to write a column. This is what I believe. Why am I called a right-winger? That was what I was thinking the entire column, because I thought, you know, I grew up.
By the way, again, I'm just going to quickly show you. Nearly 20 minutes in, they're still groiper. That's all the comments are. So the only people who were watching this were fascists hate watching it. Or I suppose me, a leftist, sort of laughing at it. Like, I don't think their youth outreach is really working.
It's redundant. As a Jew in
as by the way, you'll see in a moment, because they have live viewings on college campuses. Yeah.
New York who went to Columbia, by definition, you're a liberal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's redundant to say you're a liberal.
The entire sentence was actually just
sorry?
redundant.
Yeah.
A Jew in New York went to Columbia. The rest of the...
That's correct.
You should have done...
Why are you doing the identity stuff, lads? What difference does it make where you're from or what religion you are? I mean, I don't see religion, colour or anything. I'm very enlightened, and I thought you were too, but clearly not. Clearly, you're just idpol something cucks or something. I don't know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But I realize everything that I believed when I was a liberal and a Democrat, I still believe. I know you have this totally.
Yeah, that's not true for either of them, remotely.
Yeah, I hear you.
And it's every one of those beliefs is now called right wing. I didn't change. I'm sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't leave the left. The left left me. Fucking end me.
The liberals have accepted the left lie that conservatism is their enemy when leftism is the enemy of liberalism.
Yeah. Carolla, when you were...
Classical liberal. They were all doing the grift. Even Dennis Prager, who isn't even like a conservative. He's like a kind of weird neo-fascist dude. Trust me, anyone who's watched my series, Prager, if you... it's a point I've raised before. It's ridiculous to the idea that he's even a conservative, really, because he's like to the right of even conservatism. Not just that, he's to the right of conservatism in America. And the fact that he's trying to pull the same shit that Dave Rubin and Sargon and fucking Tim Pool and all these cunts pull. I'm a classical liberal teapot. Here's my handle, here's my spout. Fucking bullshit. God, they're embarrassing. 2830. Yes, college campuses. Now, this one is reasonably well attended in the sense that there's like 20 people or something there. The others, not so much.
What university are we at right now? Where are we?
It says there at the back.
That's Texas A&M? Oh yeah, that's Texas A&M. There's a logo right over there. All right, what's up, guys? There we go. I think we're going to show one or two more. Where are we?
Wow, that's the University of like California, and there's eight people there. They got 8 people. But it's not like they're from like a state with millions and millions of people. It's not like it's a massively densely populated area like California. And don't give me this Northern California's one. Oh yeah, this is in Southern California. Don't fucking start with me.
Here, we're in Florida. Is that University of Florida?
This is great.
No, that's California.
There we go. Balloons, freedom.
This one's the University of Florida, and there are no people, but there is a giant Ronald Reagan thing there. So that's embarrassing. Why are you showing me this? That's deeply humiliating. You fucking idiots.
Still allowed to have
Ronald Reagan's
balloons.
face. There
You're
we
still
go.
allowed to have balloons, guys. Isn't it? It's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's a strange thing that the things that we talk about are thought of as controversial, and that we have to put on an event like this, and then
No, that's the thing, guys. It defeats the point of having a cancel con to talk about how you're cancelled when you're allowed to put that con on, even though it's not. It's just 4 twats sat in one of the twats' fucking garages. That's it, right? You're allowed to have this. You have all got massive international media profiles. You've all got Twitter accounts. You've all got YouTube accounts. You've all got fucking Facebook accounts. You're not remotely censored. What you are is criticised by other people. And that's what you can't put up with. It's embarrassing. Fucking hell. What's the next one? Oh, this one's delightful. On the theme of a black, should we hear Dennis Prager's riddle? He literally came up with a riddle. It's mind-blowing.
That's right.
I mean, broadly,
Yeah,
when
you
I go
just-
speak at college campuses to
All
conservative
right, I got
and
a riddle.
libertarian groups.
If you heard me tell this riddle, it's the only riddle I ever made up. I made this one up.
Who makes up riddles? Anyway, apart from the Riddler. Maybe Dennis Prager is secretly the Riddler. I don't know.
What do you call a happy black?
What do you call a happy black? What do you call a happy black? Dennis. Oh, you fucking piece of shit. A happy black. Happy black. You are the gift that keeps on giving, Dennis, and also an idiot. By the way, they're 40 minutes in, still there, still saying, cancel con artists, Groiper gang, Groiper, debate Nick Fuentes, which is interesting because they keep going on about how the right will debate anyone. He won't debate Nick Fuentes, which I don't blame you for in a second, because as a Jewish person, you probably don't need to defend yourself against fascists, because fuck fascists. But what you can't do, Ben, is say, I'll debate anyone, and then not debate someone, because that's dumb. Groiper, accept Jesus, Groiper, yeah. So again, no one who actually supports these twats is watching, which I suppose we should take some comfort from, but there we go. What's this? Dennis Prager doesn't know what a riddle is. No, he doesn't. What he's basically set up here is a nonsense. But anyway, shall we hear what a happy black is?
Well, I listen to your show
Okay,
so
fine.
religiously, it's easy for me. A Republican,
Correct.
or a
They-
conservative.
No,
So what
right,
is-
exactly.
Yeah.
So do you hear that? If you're a happy black, you're a conservative. Quite something. Really quite something. Oh God, Dennis Prager again, just being old and weird.
Integration to happen this quickly, the fact that everything seems to be sort of collapsing at once right now? I'll go to you first.
Oh, did you ask that?
No, you first.
It's not at once. I wrote 10 years ago we're in a civil war, and people said, "Oh, he's exaggerating." I never exaggerate.
You never exaggerate. Firstly, bear in mind the phrase, I never exaggerate, from Dennis Prager. It will come up in a second. Secondly, yeah, he wrote 10 years ago they were in a civil war. These Johnny-come-latelys like Pim Tool has just arrived saying, oh, there's a civil war. Dennis Prager was ahead of the curve with the crazy conspiracy bullshit. 10 years ago he was pushing civil war. Come on now, people. The man is an intellectual behemoth of the age.
That sounded like an exaggeration, right there.
That I never exaggerate.
Yeah, you never
That's
exaggerate.
funny.
That was an
It does sound
exaggeration.
like
That was a mild exaggeration.
That's fair. The truth is, when I started radio, I debated with myself, you know, I could make a point so much more strongly if I exaggerate just a little, and then I realize, yeah, but
the low energy nature of this is fucking embarrassing, man. Oh, I've seen 90-year-olds push out farts with more fucking vigour than this. Jesus.
at a given point, people are going to say, Prager exaggerates. So I really try to avoid it.
Yeah,
I was
of
not
course.
exaggerating. I said, God willing, it will remain nonviolent, and I'm not sure it will now. But we are in the
He just slips that in. I'm not sure it will now. Jesus Christ. Also, you daft bastard. If, dear friends, the Civil War is, you know, the thing that's happening right now, it is violent, isn't it? Like, it's not really a civil war, so like, don't think for a second that I'm buying into his bullshit here. But if the thing that's happening is civil war, it is violent. America is on fire. Not just wildfires. Literally, people are burning buildings down and shit. People are being killed. Mainly by right-wing people. I know, shocking. But it has turned violent, so I don't even know what you're talking about. Also, there's a person in this chat, not my chat, in the chat for the thing that says this is pre-recorded. It isn't, and you can tell it isn't because the technical problems they have with the connection to the universities is hilarious. Even with all their astroturfed millions, they can't get it to fucking work, which makes me feel so much better about my shitty technical output, because I'm just one person sat here. I'm almost certainly naked from the waist down. You don't know. I'm one person who's just doing shit. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. These pricks have got multi-millions to pay like technical experts and they still can't get it to work. So I feel a lot better about myself. Do you know what I mean? Anyway. But anyway, remember, Dennis Prager doesn't exaggerate. Ever.
the left has done. I have a motto, and this is truly not an exaggeration. Everything the left touches, it destroys.
It doesn't exaggerate people, okay? It's just everything the left touches, it destroys. So every tiny thing the left ever gets hold of, it completely obliterates. But he doesn't exaggerate.
It's ruined our universities.
Citation.
It's ruined much of Christianity and much of Judaism.
Yeah, leftism has been in charge of Christianity and Judaism. Ever, apparently. When did that happen? I forgot the time the Pope was a leftist. Now, don't for a fucking second, any of you cunts out there, you right-wing pricks, who either listen to this live or later, spam shit about, well, the Pope said that trans people aren't necessarily the scum of the earth, or something like that. Every Pope that's ever existed was reactionary filth. I don't give a fuck if they've said, you know, gay people, maybe we shouldn't burn them alive. Just saying, I am compassionate, you know. I don't care. And they've all fucking, the popes have all defended child rapists and shit. So no, none of them have been leftists in the fucking slightest. Anyway. How's everyone doing in the chat? I'll just ask quickly while I'm here. I personally ruined Christianity by becoming atheist. Fair play. Yeah, is everything technically coming through okay? Can everyone hear me? All that shit. What's this? I've got a thing. What's this?
Hello, Internet. Are you satisfied?
Key and Peele Black
You don't-
Republicans. Maybe I'll watch that later. We're not dead here. Okay, well that's good. I'm glad you're not dead. That's positive. Someone's guillotining in my chat. That's weird. Okay. I know it's a meme, but you know. You're loud and clear and brummy. Well, I'm brummy with an IE, not a Y. Disgusting. But yes, thank you. Anyway, yeah, so we'll carry on with this nonsense, shall we? Dennis Prager making up shit.
It has ruined music. It has ruined art.
It's ruined music and art. Just to save me having to say it constantly, just have the word citation needed. Every time Dennis Prager says a thing, just imagine citation needed pops up on the screen, okay?
It has ruined literature. It is ruining sports. I mean, how do you enjoy sports? You were telling me, I think you should tell everybody.
Yeah. I am a huge basketball fan. As you guys know, I grew up watching the NBA. I play basketball. I love basketball. I would rather be in the NBA than doing this, as much as I love you guys. But I have not watched 1 minute of the NBA this season, and I won't. I watch old basketball games. I watch 80s and 90s basketball games on YouTube when I'm doing cardio, and guess what? It's fun, and I know every shot that they hit, and the Jordan shrug and everything else.
Yeah, you're an old prick who takes comfort in watching old prick stuff from when you were a kid. I don't care, then. Not Dennis, sorry. All you right-wing grifting shits look alike to me. Dave, you're old and you take comfort in watching old shit because it reminds you of an innocent time when you were a kid and blah-de-blah. Yeah, I don't care. Like, this is literally just for boomers, although age-wise Shapiro isn't a boomer. And neither, I don't think, is Dave Rubin. But this is in the internet parlance of a boomer being like a frame of mind rather than an age. These are just 4 boomers sat around talking boomer shit for 2 hours.
And it reminds me of something, and I was even thinking, this is what I said to you earlier, I was even thinking that 10 years from now, if this all continues to devolve, kids are going to watch those games from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and go, whoa,
it's still all
not only did people play basketball games in places called arenas where people came,
they're
but
50
white
minutes
people
in.
And black people cheered together. They actually cheered together.
They're 50 minutes in and it's still just groiper. So literally, was anyone who watched this agreeing with anything they said? I mean, look at the ratio. They literally got more dislikes to likes on a channel with 320,000 subscribers. That's astroturfed fuckery for you. Anyway. Yeah. Also, to Dave's point, black and white people together, blah, blah, blah. That's fine, but why, when they, at the Houston Texans game in the NFL, why did they have, when they had black and white players linked arms, not kneeled for the anthem, nothing like that. They just linked arms in unity. Why did the crowd boo them? If America is so not racist, why did they boo that show of racial unity? Intriguing.
Together. Can you believe it? Because if the left wins this thing, we won't be cheering together. And nobody cared. Nobody cared about that. And that's why watching it infect sports is so upsetting, because whatever sport you play, I've never played any sport and anyone cared about the color of anyone's skin. Can you play? Can you?
Yeah, but I mean, that's obviously not true, is it, Dave? The NFL cared when Colin Kaepernick took a knee because he's a black dude. White people have been able to do politics and sport forever. They sing the national anthem and wave flags and have barred black people from playing. You might have heard of a guy called Jackie Robinson. He was a person that existed. Look into his story and get back to me, Dave.
Swing a bat? Can you shoot a basketball? You're good, and now we're watching it just destroy everything.
But that's still the basis of sport, Dave, is can you shoot a basketball, can you swing a bat? No, there's no person who can, like, I don't know, hit a three-pointer, but they're like, well, you're conservative, so you're not making the roster. What are you talking about? They're just saying things you disagree with. So basically, you want to silence sports stars from giving their political opinions because it annoys you. Almost like you're pro-cancel culture, Dave.
Well, I've always thought, and I know Dave says it's more of a moral stand he's taking, but back in the 80s, they wore those tight shorts. And it just showed a man's contours off. It's an aesthetic thing. I don't expect you guys to get it.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here. So
Shaky bit of homophobia.
the thing that everyone, I've always tried to figure out, like, why do people intrinsically love sports? Like, why are we attracted to sports? You know, because it's beyond,
Because of sportsmen's cocks, obviously. You just explained it.
I like sports. No, it's like I live and die, and there's something about it. And the thing that's so attractive about sports is it's a meritocracy. It is the last meritocracy.
And it still is.
If you're watching and all 11 players on the defensive side of the ball are black, then those are the best players on that team, and it never runs in your mind, or, oh, the guy at free safety, he's the owner's son.
Yeah.
You know, like, it just doesn't exist. And we as human beings are...
Well, actually, nepotism does help, but the point being, it's still that. It's still a meritocracy. There's no one being cut from the team for any reason that other than they're not good enough, because they want to win. That's the whole point. So I don't even know what they're complaining. Well, I do know what they're complaining about. They're complaining about politics in sport, but more specifically, they're complaining about the wrong politics in sport. Because again, these motherfuckers are happy for the national anthem to be played, for there to be a taxpayer-funded flyover from the U.S. Armed Forces, generally from the Air Force. But quick note: America has the 2 largest air forces in the entire world. Yes, that's right. The U.S. Navy's Air Force is the 2nd largest air force in the world. So they have Air Force flyovers and all the rest of it. Also, US taxpayer money from the armed forces was paid directly to the NFL, and in fact, actually one of the few points I've ever agreed with Ron Paul on a thing. He, when he was a senator, actually did very good work in exposing this particular practice, which wasn't technically illegal. I know, crazy. US money, taxpayers' money via the armed forces was paid to the NFL for the NFL to allow recruitment at the games to get young people fed into the imperialist war machine, and for them to have military appreciation days at the grounds, at the stadiums for those things. So the US taxpayer was paying for that. That was okay. That politics was fine. I've not heard any Conservative complain about that, other than Ron Paul, who's technically like a weird ANCAP-y cunt. Anyway, I've not heard any of these 4 fuckers talk about any of that. That politics is dandy. What they don't want is like the uppity blacks. Sorry, a happy black. An unhappy black, I suppose, because they're not Conservative, right? They don't want a depressed black telling them, oh, do you mind if the police don't shoot us dead anymore? That's too much for them. That's the wrong politics. That doesn't deserve a place at sport. But jerking off the flag and masturbating to imperialist warmongery, super awesome. Fuck off, you hypocrites.
Probably meant to be attracted to a pure meritocracy, if you think about it. And so we know, we see corporations, we see the school board, we see this group and that group, and we go, I bet they just let a couple of these people or those people on just to kind of balance things out. But sports was the last bastion of that. And I think that's why...
I just realised I had my chat on Top Chat. So if you said a thing and you wanted me to respond and I didn't see it, apologies. But anyway, it's now on live chat, so yeah, I'll get all of your messages.
We're, as humans...
I thought things were going a little bit slow in the chat.
So attracted to it,
See, but again, I'm an idiot. These fuckers have got multi-millions to throw away from Big Daddy Coke. The Koch brother, lol. Rather than not Coca-Cola. Other than who knows where their dark money comes from? Good lord.
A heavyweight champion.
Anyway, they got lots of money. They fuck it up too. So don't look at me.
For the world, he's the toughest, baddest man on the planet. That's what we loved about it. And so,
and
when
it
these
still
other
is.
Cultural things and political things start bleeding into our sports, I think the reaction is the last thing that was pure and sort of unstepped on by this society we've created is now having...
How is that possibly true? How, you dopey cunt, is that possibly true? You know the military have been, involved with this. They have service personnel, honoured before the games and stuff. You literally, tune into the NFL to watch a game, and they've got Corporal such and such from the Kansas Reserve Forces who served in Iraq and all this shit, and they honour them. Now, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't bother me one way or the other if they want to do that. I'm fine for conservative politics to be involved in a sporting event. I don't really care. or at least like the vaguely like acceptable bits of conservative politics. I don't want them like lynching a black person before the start of the World Series or anything. That's not what I'm talking about. If they want to like jerk off to this fucking jingoistic shit, it doesn't really bother me that much. I'd prefer if they didn't enjoy that. That would be weird. That would be like a really cool thing to do. But the fact that they do enjoy that, I don't care. I can still watch the sport and enjoy it. But these fuckers can't. That's never reciprocated. Again, to the point I was making earlier, the right wing will never reciprocate that respect. Ever.
Having to lose a little bit of
I
purity.
think, too, we loved it for another reason. And I'm totally with you on that one. I had season tickets of the LA Kings. Hockey is my favorite sport. So I actually had season tickets when they went to the Stanley Cup and won it. It was by sheer good coincidence. And I loved the fact that I would sit next to somebody, of course, a total stranger, who had nothing in common with me. Might have, for all I know, the guy was a member of the Communist Party USA, and I didn't care, and he didn't care. We were Kings fans. It is the...
And that's still true now, Dennis. You want to go to the hockey game? Well, I mean, technically it's to the COVID thing, but they don't have fans in the stand at the minute. Anyway, but let's just assume we're back to normal after COVID or whatever, right? You can still go there. You can still sit next to someone who's a member of the Communist Party or whatever, or a member of the Republicans or the fucking whatever. Like, you get a mix of all kinds of fucking people. And you can still chat about the sport and go home afterwards. That's fine. How has that changed? Because again, as a leftist who is a sports fan, I've had to put up with right-wing jingoistic nationalist shit involved in sport forever. And I don't care. It doesn't bother me, particularly. I prefer it not be there, but it doesn't like ruin my love of the sporting spectacle. Whereas now you're starting to get more progressive, messages being put out there, like say no to racism, which is like a thing in British soccer, football. It's called football, but for the Americans anyway. Or like the Black Lives Matter stuff in America. Now all of a sudden, politics in sport is a bad idea. Why am I having to put up with politics in my sport? Can't I just jingoistically masturbate over a bald eagle or something? Actually, that would be disrespectful, I suppose. Well, unless the bald eagle was into it. I don't know. It's between you and the bald eagle. Anyway, do you know what I mean, though? Like, America's so fantastic and awesome. We're going to have the military here, and let me go and suck that guy's dick because he fucking blew up some brown people in Afghanistan. Yay, imperialism. But don't get politics involved in sport. Like, what the fuck do you even say to nonsense like that? Like, it's so stupid, it's untrue. And again, we're 52 minutes in, and it's still groper. There were no actual conservatives watching this, which I suppose, in a way, we should be thankful for, but also the people who were watching it were fascists, largely, it seems, so that's not necessarily better. But still, whatever.
The place of unity, where you're all cheering together, every color, every race, every religion, everything. You don't give a damn.
Yeah.
And the left has ruined it.
How? How, Dennis, you dopey cunt? How has it done that? To what possible extent has that happened? You can still go to the game. You can still sit next to a black, gay, communist or something, whatever combination of things. You can sit next to a happy or an unhappy black. And that's fine. You can still cheer for the team and celebrate or commiserate, depending on the result, and go the fuck home and everything's fine. That hasn't changed. All that's changed is that you don't have absolute political hegemony over the messaging therein. And if that's ruined it for you, you were never actually there for the sport, were you, Dennis?
Sports is now politics. And
no, sports has always been politics. The Olympic Games, which predates the NFL, I think certainly predates Major League Baseball, but does it predate baseball? I don't know. And predates much of the sporting leagues that we all now enjoy. Well, I mean, the modern Olympics. Obviously, the ancient Olympics predate like all of the sports we now enjoy. But the modern Olympics, they have like a medal table, Dennis, which ranks nations above one another based on their, the number of medals they've won. How is that not political? When a nation wins a gold medal, all the other nations have to stand there and listen to that nation's national anthem get played. How is this not political? What do you mean it's now political? It's always been political. These fucking, be they national teams or franchises within national leagues or whatever, represent distinct geographical entities based on politics. What do you mean it's now political? For the love of God, you fucking idiots.
It's ended one of the great joys of life.
So there are a couple of things.
End me. Please end me.
That the left obviously is lying about here. So whenever people say on the right that sports has been ruined, and it has. I mean, I'm a huge baseball fan, particularly.
He's about to ruin one of my sporting loves. He's about to ruin it.
But also a big basketball fan, and both of my teams this year are actually quite good. The White Sox are great this year, and the Celtics are very good this year. And I
see, now, as a Boston Celtics fan myself, I can no longer enjoy when they win. I can't anymore, because I'll know that Ben Shapiro is also happy, which will make me sad. So you've ruined it. Thank you, Ben Shapiro, for ruining the Boston Celtics' success for me. Because every time they win, I will now be unhappy because I'll know you'll be happy. That's a joke. You see what I did? I did a joke. I'm saying I hate Ben Shapiro. That isn't the joke, though. That's the underlying cause of the joke. Anyway, let's skip to the next timestamp, which is university fuck-ups. Again, the technical aspect of this show did not go very smoothly.
Even talking about protecting yourself from opinions you don't want to hear. I'm just saying everybody needs to calm down for half a second as opposed to, engaging in battles that are completely worthless.
Yeah, and that's directly connected to what we were talking about before, is you used to calm down or at least escape when you watched some sports or you did something for fun, and that seems to be gone. But enough of us talking. Let's find out what's going on down at the University of Florida.
Oh, yeah, no, of course, shit. I didn't even fucking mention this. You saying let's not watch sports anymore, guys, is you cancelling sports. What you're doing at CancelCon seems to be actually just cancelling things. Cancelling the basketball, National Basketball Association, or the National Football League, or Major League Baseball, or the National Hockey League, or leftists. Which, by the way, you can absolutely do. You can absolutely do. I don't give a fuck. Watch it, don't watch it, jerk yourself over not watching it, jerk yourself over watching it. I don't fucking care. What you can't do is hypocritically sit there and say, cancelling things is bad, but also I'm cancelling the NFL. You hypocritical dog shits.
Let's find out what's on your mind down there, guys. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to be at college.
Wow, there are 6 people there. Woo.
Wow, Reagan and Washington.
They have a giant Reagan head.
There are almost as many giant faces as there are people at that event. There are more balloons than there are people.
What's going on down there, guys? How's university life these days?
Oh, it's going well. Other than
Mickey Mantle.
I think this might be a live stream. I don't think this was pre-recorded.
Luckiest man on the face of the earth.
I think we got a little feedback issue. Let's try that again.
Can't believe the Russians are manipulating this.
It's because the TV's on.
No, it's not.
We got a bunch of liberal arts majors over
He's
here.
definitely not going to work at best.
Liberal arts majors don't know how to do anything. You're the ones fucking it up.
Bye.
Hold on, write your question on a peachy folder backwards and then hold it up. Or write it forward, because we got guys who can read the Torah here. You like the inside Jew jokes?
I like it. It was good.
The inside Jew joke, that's funny. That's funny because they're Jewish, but we're not doing identity politics. And also, as if any of these were going to go, no, we don't like the Jew jokes. These fucking self-debasing pieces of shit. None of them are going to turn around and say what they should say, which is, actually, Hebrew has a hugely rich history as a language, and your fucking newcomer, interloper bullshit Johnny-come-lately to the linguistic stage, English. So, how about you shut up, Carolla, you ignorant cunt? Which is what you should say to him, but they're not going to. Of course not. What do you think there is? An actual diversity of opinion here? Don't be so silly. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you that. Adam Carolla, professional comedian Adam Carolla, has a joke about COVID, and it is a side splitter. It's a knee slapper par excellence. Where are we? Yeah, they interview, but I'll show you this still. They interview, they show some clips from the movie, then they interview a black dude. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Hang on, have I missed? Oh, I didn't put... Oh, anyway, doesn't matter. But they interview Scott Walker, the former governor of Wisconsin, which I thought was a part of Canada. I'll find out in a second if Christy's watching. Anyway, I'm joking. Yeah, so he's the former governor of Wisconsin. Now, again, if they were actually against cancel culture, they wouldn't be interviewing Scott Walker, because he literally tried to cancel public sector unions in Wisconsin. So, you think they'd be against that. And that's an actual problem, because he had governmental power behind him, whereas some person criticising you on Twitter doesn't. Again, they're not against cancel culture, they're just against them being cancelled. They want to do the cancelling. They're not against cancel culture at all. Anyway, so they interview Scott Walker, and then they interview there's a black female comedian person who goes on the stream, and it's all very uninteresting. But anyway, exactly during the bit where they're talking to this person who's Carith Foster. Carith's quite a cool name, actually. But anyway, a professional comedian, Adam Carolla, has arguably the worst joke I've ever heard. It barely classifies as a joke, to be honest, but there we go.
Here's a COVID joke for you, but it really only works for me, because people know I don't like my parents, right? So I say, when I have an elderly mother, and I go, the good news for me is I don't have to visit. She lives in North Hollywood. I don't have to visit my elderly mother. And I'm this close to convincing her the virus can be spread over the phone.
That's so funny. Please, I'm going to die with how funny that is. Don't tell side-splitting yarns like that again, Adam. That's terrible. AIDS is funnier than that. Absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, Jesus, talking about shit jokes, we then have an absolute doozy of a story from Dave Rubin, who, I don't know if you remember, he used to be a comedian.
Sessions like that, where we talk to people, we reach, not just try to reach their minds, but their hearts, and get them to understand, as the student said, that once free speech goes, it's going to be a domino effect with other things. And free speech doesn't mean you have to agree with what somebody else says. It just means you have to listen.
Yeah, I remember doing stand-up one night, and I used to do a joke, believe it or not. I think I told you this once on your radio show, Adam. I used to do a joke that involved the N-word, and it wasn't to be racially offensive.
What N-word do you think he means?
Or in a pejorative way. I was doing an impression to make fun of people that use words like that. And for about 5 years, it would get a huge laugh. And then I remember one night I was on stage at Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, and the crowd they all froze all at the same time. And I remember in my head thinking, I'm never going to tell that joke again. And that's a pretty dangerous place for a comedian to be.
It's a
No, it isn't, Dave. I'm sorry, no, mate. There has never been a time, and there will never be a time, where the comedian decides what is funny. Never. The only vector that matters, or the only response that matters from anything to do with stand-up comedy, is did the people laugh? Did the people laugh at your joke? If they didn't, that isn't on them. That's on the comedian. Either you didn't tell it right, or it's just a shit joke. Or some combination of the two, of course. I mean, there are other factors like your time slot and all the rest of it, of course. But those are the two big issues, right? There's never been a time when that hasn't been the case, and there will never be a time where that isn't the case. You don't get to decide what's funny for the audience. You told a shit joke, or you told it in a shit way. It doesn't matter that it used to be funny. Things have always changed. Things have always progressed. Okay? They have never stood still. Social attitudes change, and if your joke is no longer funny, you have to drop the joke from your act. That's always been the case. Always. Okay? And the thing is, the reason you can tell that that's the case, Dave, is that there are still people doing racist jokes. All the fucking time. In fact, Adam Carolla tells one in a minute. I am going to show you that. It's not cool. Anyway, people like, say, Roy Chubby Brown, right? Who's a British, in theory, comedian. Who, by the way, his real name is Royston Vasey, which people might know as the name of the village in the League of Gentlemen show. And they named it after his name. I don't think to honour him necessarily, just because it's a cool name. Anyway, Roy Chubby Brown, phenomenally racist. For Americans, imagine a British version of Andrew Dice Clay, but dressed like something from Alice in Wonderland. That sounds mental, but that's what it is, right? He's very, very racist. He does arguably more gross sexual comedy than Andrew Dice Clay does. And still to this day sells out reasonably sized rooms. He has a fan base. You can tell those jokes. Again, because A, cancel culture isn't really a thing. Shut up, you twats. And, I suppose more importantly than that, if you tell the jokes properly and you look for your audience, you can tell those jokes to those people. It doesn't matter. Dave, you wanted to go to what I imagine is a relatively liberal place in the heart of New York City, tell your racist joke or your joke involving racist language. People didn't find it funny. It's not on them to find it funny. It's only on to... the only onus is on the comedian to get the laugh. That is literally what you are being paid to do. The fact that you think you are entitled for a joke that was funny to remain funny forever, and therefore you never have to change your act in any way whatsoever, shows what an entitled little prick you are. And, by the way, is clearly a recurring part of Dave Rubin's entire career, because even in his post-comedy career, he just wants to say the same line over and over and over again and get a reliable reaction, which is sort of, we should have been able to tell, I suppose, from his comedy career and the fact that he has an immovable, inflexible view of the world, or a view of his part in the world. We should have seen him going to the far-right grift, because you don't have to change your act ever. You can just say the same shit over and over again. You can just say, men are not women, I'm a transphobic prick, and you'll get the money will flow in. The Mercer money will flow, you know? Anyway, yeah, Adam Carolla's view of comedy is, well, very racist for a start, but whatever.
I am not a comic who uses the N-word because I don't know if you've noticed how I sound. I grew up in the suburbs, and apparently you're not supposed to say the ER. So it doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth. And it's just not who I am anyway. That's just not my style. But I do think that it is important, again, this being true to yourself and not letting other people take that away from you. Like, that is what freedom is.
Well, you know, if you think about comedy, and so here's why there's these are competing sort of notions, being politically correct and left-leaning in comedy, because comedy is really mostly about stereotypes. Like, if you're making a joke about gay people or Jewish people, then you have to do stereotypes.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, you can play on stereotypes, and I'm not saying that can't be funny, in the sense that bucking the trend of a stereotype. So, when you understand the underlying presuppositions that an audience will have, you can then invert that and make it funny. So you can play on people's stereotypical views of the world and make it funny. But what Adam Carolla is saying there is you need to understand the predispositions of your audience and just feed into them. That's the only way you can do comedy, which is dumb. And leads to racist jokes as about the one you're about to hear. Again, apologies, because the joke he's about to tell that I'm going to make you listen to is it will give you cancer. I mean, if you've already had cancer from the animation, and the cancer has been increasing during the course of this, it gets worse. It gets so much worse with this joke, I think. Anyway, racism incoming.
And I was explaining to my son, here goes a politically incorrect joke. I was explaining to my son,
Thank you for the trigger
here's
warning.
how stereotypes in humor works. And if you do stereotypes that don't work, then like you go, oh, you know when you're running late and you always get behind on the freeway, you get behind one of those German guys driving a Porsche, and it's like, that doesn't make sense to me. But you go old lady or old Asian lady or whatever it is, and then all of a sudden we're back with the stereotype.
That's not even the most racist joke he's about to tell.
But if you can't do stereotypes, then there goes a lot of the jokes. And I said to my son,
No, if you're a lazy comedian and a prick, and you don't get to do stereotypes, then your act fails. But you can do comedy, absolutely. You can do brilliant comedy without playing into stereotypes.
I said, here's how comedy and stereotypes work. I think you'll learn after this I'm the world's worst dad. I said, son, what if I told you you were going to compete in a spelling contest with an Indian kid? You'd go, oh crap, I'm going to get slaughtered. What if I told you that kid was American Indian? And
I get it.
and he laughed because
Even they aren't really laughing. Even these four twats aren't laughing. Also, let's break down the joke for a second. Firstly, the stereotype of all like Indians being, I don't know, smart or whatever is based on the idea that the ones you will encounter in America will be from families of immigrants, so they have to work harder and therefore get higher educational attainment and stuff, and aren't prevented in the same way that other groups are sometimes. Whereas the stereotype about, as they say, American Indian, which is not a way that those people refer to themselves like ever, but whatever. I mean, at least he didn't go with Redskins, so that's a thing. Although talking of sport, it is slightly strange because they haven't renamed the Washington Redskins to something else yet. They're just called the Washington Football Team, which is funny because then you have, I mean, I was following I had the TV on watching the first week, and had the NFL thing on my tablet, so I could follow the other results because they don't always like have the rolling thing at the bottom doesn't always have the scores up or whatever. So I was checking the scores as they were progressing, and it had, I can't remember who they were playing now. It doesn't matter. Let's just say the Dolphins or whatever versus, so you had like Miami Dolphins versus, so you had like Dolphins versus football team, which is just weird because I mean they're all football teams. Like that doesn't narrow it down for me. The football team. Anyway, but I'm glad they're not calling them the Redskins anymore. That's cool. But Dan Snyder is still a racist piece of shit, so whatever. Anyway, so yeah, the native, the First Nations people of North America don't refer to themselves as fucking Indians ever, but whatever. Let's just go with his. I mean, arguably that's a step up from a happy black, but who knows? I mean, linguistics is an interesting thing. Anyway, yeah. As if America, as if the white people of America haven't fucked over the native population already, they now have to make jokes about it as well. So they've purposefully set up an economic, educational, social, societal system that means that the native folk get like the worst of things. They get far less money to deal with like problems within their communities. They get left to essentially rot on reservations for large parts of them, unfortunately, and are therefore put in a position where naturally they will obviously have lesser educational attainment under the Western colonialised education system. So you have purposefully, via your white supremacist hegemony, forced a situation where naturally native people will have lower educational attainment, and then mocking them for having that lower educational attainment, which is scumminess on top of evil. It's really fucked up. If that's the only kind of joke you can do, Adam, you're not only are you not a very good comedian, you're a fucking awful person. You're just shit at this. And again, the fact that he's been successful at comedy for so long shows me rather conclusively that capitalism doesn't always reward innovation or excellence. Just saying. Anywho, I mean, we've already seen this to a degree, but I've got it marked down, so we might as well have a go. Shapiro basically advocating the cancelling of sports leagues.
I think that one of the problems right now is that because everything is channeled into the forum of a presidential election, and because President Trump is who President Trump is, he may not be the best vehicle for the backlash. Meaning you have to fight to get, for a lot of people, the backlash may not manifest as a vote for Trump. It may manifest as something else. Right? It may manifest as speaking out in their job, or it may manifest as getting involved in a private school as opposed to a public school or a charter school or something.
Or homeschool.
Or homeschooling, which is the big thing, right? I mean, they're literally, this is the greatest moment for homeschooling in the history of the world. I mean, bar none.
You're a fucking idiot, Ben Shapiro. What about the time in human history, which is the vast majority of human history, where there were no public schools? Surely that was a much better time for homeschooling, because that was the only schooling you could possibly give. You fucking cretin. Anyway.
I'm hopeful that there will be a backlash on the one hand. I'm also hopeful that the right is going to, at a certain point, consolidate and realize the battle we're in. This is part of what we do, all of us, I think, is fighting with the left. But part of it is trying to wake up the right to what the battle actually constitutes. And this is a really hard part of the battle. Because for a lot of people on the right, they think that what the battle really amounts to is if I sign a check to my church and I give a little money here and I give a little money there, that's good enough. The left has militarized every component of the culture. And what that means is that we're going to have to start thinking, unfortunately, like the left does, in terms of how they use their market share. And so I think it's actually morally incumbent at this point to turn off the NBA. I think it's morally incumbent at this point not to watch the NFL. I think it is morally incumbent to take a look at how you're spending your money with corporations that actively seek the destruction of your value system. I'm not talking...
So that's Ben Shapiro at a convention for whinging conservative twats who haven't been cancelled in any real respect whatsoever. They're multimillionaires with huge platforms and the freedom to say whatever they like, whenever they like, moaning that the conservatives in America should cancel the NBA, NFL, and any, quote, organisation or corporation that wants to destroy your value system. You know, the NBA are still like having the national anthem and stuff before games. They're not trying to destroy anything. They've just like got some like Black Lives Matter stuff. Like, what? What the fuck is wrong with you? So he's literally at a convention that's supposed to be against cancelling, advocating for cancelling. I don't know how else. Are they aware of the concept of being on the nose? Because this is far too on the nose for anything. Like, it's just madness. Also, just want to point out, we are now at the thick end of 2 hours into this, and literally it's still Groyper, debate Nick Fuentes. Groyper, dislike this, debate Nick, debate Ben Shapiro, Rhino, okay, which is Republican in name only. Shapiro is not right-wing, which again shows you how fascist the people watching live were. Debate, Groyper. Christ is king is another thing they do. which is because he's a Catholic extremist, of course, Nick Fuentes. Which is ironic because allying yourself with the likes of the KKK, they hated Catholics. Just saying. The P in WASP does not stand for Catholic. Just in case you were wondering. Anyway, I've then got Ted Cruz Commulism as the next bookmark. Yeah, so they then end the actual live streamy bit of the live stream and cut to what was a pre-recorded thing between Knowles, the fucking right-wing twat, and who people may remember from my thing where he did a breakdown of 1984 with Dave Rubin on his channel, because he works for PragerU and various other things. Along with so does Dave Rubin. But anyway, Michael Knowles, that's the guy I'm thinking of, isn't it? They did a breakdown of 1984, which is a book about Stalinism, a euphemism for Stalinism, right? And they didn't mention Stalin. So everyone else who isn't at all like Stalin gets called Stalin, but then when they do a book about Stalin, they don't talk about Stalin. I think they might be idiots. Crazy, I know. But anyway, so they do the end of this. Knowles talks to sitting Senator of the United States and potential future candidate for the Supreme Court. End me now. A guy called Theodore Cruz. You might have heard of him. He's a Republican. And I was about to say from Texas, but actually he's from Canada. But he represents Texas in the Senate. Anyway.
Goes away.
Well, that's exactly right. And there's another component that is at play here, which is fear. And fear on two different axes. Number one, fear from the hard left. If you're a socialist, if you're a Marxist, if you are Antifa or BLM or someone else that is...
I am the CEO of Antifa. I am Antifa.
...decreeing an outcome. The fact that you want to...
You're decreeing an outcome, Ted. Your whole thing. You're a fucking dominionist Christian. You are decreeing an outcome, you dopey cunt.
Silence anyone who disagrees. Or, by the way, if you are Putin or Xi in Russia or China and you want to silence a dissident who's speaking against you, all of that is the product of fear.
Well, you must be really fearful then, mustn't you, Ted? Because you supported the cancelling and silencing of Chelsea Manning, didn't you? You cunt. Anyway, I'm just going to skip to the last one, which is 2 hours and 1 minute, which is, it's because I've just got it linked down as Ted Cruz bootlicking.
The best cure for bad speech is more speech. And so fear on one level, the left is afraid. If you're defending socialism, the last thing you want to do is listen to the benefits and blessings of free enterprise.
I'm all ears, Ted. I'm all ears, mate. I'm not hearing it, though. Just saying.
Far better to silence anyone who dares disagree.
Unlike your fucking Big Daddy Trump, who silenced God knows how many people have spoken out against him. And indeed cancelled them. I know. It's hilarious, isn't it?
If you're advocating for abolishing the police, the last thing you want to do is listen to actual facts about how police officers keep minority communities safer, keep low-income communities safer, how police officers defend and save black lives, and that abolishing the police results in many more dying.
No wonder he's managed to win Trump over to some extent, because he can clearly deep-throat the boot very well. So he'd probably devastate a cock. Do you know what I mean? Almost certainly. That bootlicking on that level it's almost an art form. Really is. That boot must have been spotless clean. He probably took the layer of fucking varnish off the bastard. What an embarrassing human being. Imagine being this spineless twat. Fucking debasing himself with the likes of Donald Trump. Even though he's attacked everyone and called him a piece of shit and his wife's ugly and his dad killed JFK and even made jokes about Ted Cruz being the Zodiac killer, which just goes to show you Trump isn't the one doing Trump memes, clearly. Yeah, but yet it sits there and defends him. I mean, yeah, I'm going to take lessons from you about being scared or being pathetic. Fuck you, Ted Cruz. You piece of shit. And scene. That's enough of that nonsense, I think. Anyway, where am I? There we go, Kev picks. Because we're basically done now. We're going nearly 2 hours, people. This is strenuous activity. I'll have you know. Oh, hang on a second. What am I doing? Yes. How are we all? How are we doing? All of that shite. Has it been good? Has the stream worked at least technically well? Has it been technically proficient? That's the main issue for me. Hang on. Fuck off. Restore the chat there. There we go. Because it's not on the screen anymore. Why is Dennis Prager the best of these 4? He'll die first. Oh, God. Oh. Technically 100%. Awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, that's good. See, all I had to do was plug the bastard thing into the internet. I didn't know. Yeah. So, yes. You did make Kev laugh, yes. I was not expecting a Dennis Prager is old and therefore is going to die joke. But thank you nonetheless. That was very appreciated. Anyway, so in terms of what we got coming up, I think I'm going to be talking with Christy tomorrow. I think we're doing a show. It almost certainly won't be the review, the Tom Green double header review thing, because I haven't done the what do you call it, the screenshotting and all that shit for that yet. I'll get around to it eventually, but I haven't done it yet. So we'll probably be talking about politics and stuff. We might have a video from some reactionary chud to take a look at. I don't fucking know. We'll decide at some point between now and the start of the show. Or maybe even after the show starts. I don't know. And then Wednesday I'm going to be doing Turfapalooza, which is I'll be taking a look at the recent ongoings with Posey Parker, who's a British turf piece of shit, really awful human being, who got kind of arrested but kind of not over the weekend, and all of that. And there's a video from Ariella Scarcella that I want to look at, because that's got lots of turfs in it as well. She did a collab thing with various pieces of shit, which is fun. And yes, so and I might be getting on a special guest, a trans person, to talk about all of that as well on Wednesday, hopefully. But I can't name names yet. I haven't heard back. But, you know, it would seem slightly strange for me, a cis dude, to just be on my own being a cis dude, being like, let me tell you about being a woman. Let me tell you about trans stuff. You know, so I might get someone on to help me along with that issue. They probably know a lot more about it as well, in terms of like the actual technical medical side of things. So I don't know why I added the word probably to that sentence. I don't know shit. So, you know, they know some amount of stuff, so they know more amount of stuff. So by all means, join me for that as well. But tomorrow will be at 7 PM, and Wednesday I'm certainly planning on it being at 7 PM UK time, which is 2 PM on the east coast of America, 6 AM in... No, hang on, shit. Yeah, 6 AM in Fiji. As if that matters. Why did I fucking check myself there? As if there's any people listening in Fiji. That's the point of the joke, is that there are no people listening here. Listening there. Whatever. Anyway. Yes, so join me for that. And, yeah, I'll kick the people over from Twitch to something. I'll raid a channel. The Surfs, I suppose. And, yes, you can join me tomorrow, 7 PM. We'll be talking politics and all that shit with Christy. And then Turfapalooza on Wednesday. I'll advertise it all. It's on my Twitter and my YouTube and all that shit. But until then, I will see you all later. Pippity pip pips.